Hey everybody, it's Friday, July 26th, let's talk PlayStation. Now, before we talk about our cover story that's clearly indicated in the title of this video, let's talk about a couple other news stories that happened this week. Hey, a Gran Turismo movie is being made. Yeah. So basically the people that are doing the 50 Shades of Grey adaptation are going to be working on this project, and I mean, right off the bat, they're just using the name, right? They're just using Gran Turismo as the movie title, because obviously Gran Turismo is a racing simulator. It has no context, it has no narrative, it has no characters, it has nothing. It's a racing simulator, so obviously when it's being put into a movie, they're going to add all that junk into the movie and, you know, put the little Hollywood fairy dust on it, because obviously Gran Turismo is, as a game, it has none of those things. It's just... Alright, so enough of that. Let's talk about Sony Santa Monica, the developers of God of War. You know, we want to know what they're up to, right? They're obviously working on a PS4 game. Are they working on a God of War game? Apparently not, because a new writer on the project, he's worked in TV before. He's done, like, Battlestar Galactica, Caprica, and he's written for Monk. He's working with the Sony Santa Monica team to work on their next game, which is obviously possibly probably is a PS4 game, and he's saying it's not God of War. At San Diego Comic-Con, on a panel, Michael Angeli, who's the writer we're talking about here, who's worked on Battlestar Galactica, Monk, Caprica, and all that, he basically said that he is writing for the new team and all that. He's working with the team to make the new game, and he's saying it's not God of War. And basically, he also said that the team that finished up God of War Ascension, that whole team of 150 plus people, are being fully transitioned into this new project. So, I mean, yeah, he's saying it's not God of War, and that's kind of good. I kind of want to see what the studio can do outside of the realms of God of War. So, of course, I'm very optimistic to see what they're up to, and hopefully we'll see it soon. Speaking of writers, longtime Insomniac writer TJ Fixman is leaving the company and pursuing some new projects that he has with Disney and stuff. And, I mean, just wanted to mention that. Good for him. He's, been writing for the Ratchet & Clank games for quite a while. I believe since Quest for Booty, and he took up Tools of Destruction, worked on Resistance 2, he worked on Fuse. Just, good for him. Good luck, buddy. Now let's talk about Agent. Do you remember Agent, announced back in E3 2009? Supposed to be a PS3 exclusive, developed by Rockstar Games. We've gotten small updates about it since, haven't really heard much. Here's another small update. Basically, Rockstar has renewed the trademarks for Agent. So they renewed the name and sort of the symbolism of the the title and all that, and that's really the only update we have. Obviously Rockstar still wants it, so, and we've been confirmed that it is still in development, but we still haven't seen barely anything about this game other than some small screenshots. I mean, if there's anything to say about it now, I mean, obviously it's a little too late in the console lifecycle to release it, considering they still haven't shown gameplay, trailers, like anything about this game, right? Like, it seems way too far in, so I'm going to assume it's going to pull like an FF versus 13 here. It's going to be like, oh, PS4, and I wouldn't be surprised if it lost exclusivity and it would now be on Xbox One or any other platform for that matter. We just haven't seen the game in so long. Who knows what's going on with it? And I think it probably will pull a FF versus 13, new systems and multi-platform. So. Okay, so one thing we really don't know much about is the PS4's recording feature. We know that it records gameplay constantly and all that. We've got a little bit of insight about that. The PS4 is going to continuously record 15 minutes of gameplay. So up to 15 minutes of what you previously played is recorded for you to go back and edit and save and upload and use that share button and do whatever you want. Now, this is actually in the range of what I thought the timing would be. Obviously, I was pretty sure it was going to max out at that sort of time. I didn't think it would be something crazy outrageous like over an hour, like real capture software. So it's not like this could necessarily be useful for like full-on like let's playing and walkthroughs. Some people do really short videos like that. The point being, 15 minutes is actually pretty meaty for the system to constantly be recording your stuff. There's a lot of open area for if you perhaps earn a trophy and want to share that, or if you just do something really cool and you want to share it or whatever. I mean, it's a good meaty length that you could possibly share. So I think that's pretty good. It actually also came out this week that the Xbox One records the last 5 minutes of your gameplay, so PS4 has 10 minutes on it. I do think 5 minutes is way too small, to be honest. So, but of course, Sony's whole focus was that share button on the controller. They kind of built that from the ground up, whereas I don't know what, Microsoft has a whole, sort of different focus with the Kinect camera. But you see what I'm saying. If they've got 5 minutes, we get 15. I think 15 is pretty good, and 5 is way too short. So this next news story is actually pretty awesome, and it's also kind of in response to last week's episode where we were talking about, the topic was sort of PS4 overheating. But the PS4 has been officially passed by the FCC, so the retail PS4 is almost ready, basically. So yeah, what that means is the FCC is saying that the PS4 is deemable to be sold in the U.S., and that's, that's awesome. There are some FCC filings and documents that came along with it, so we know the max clock frequency of the PS4, which is 2.75 gigahertz. Not bad. And we also learned the temperature that the PS4 runs at. Currently, right now, the PS3 is supposed to run between 45 and 55 degrees Celsius, but the PS4 is being listed as running between 5 and 35 degrees Celsius. So the max temp on the PS4 is still lower than the lowest amount of temp on the PS3. So that's, whoa, that's actually pretty awesome, right? What we can take away from that is that the PS4 runs quite cool, so obviously that's good news, and it runs even cooler than the PS3. Now, of course, I still, hope there's no sort of hardware issues, but I guess, I don't know, heating up is certainly not an issue if the FCC is, deeming it within that sort of boundary. So that's good. I never had any problems with my PS3s, but I know a lot of people have. So, I mean, hopefully, the hardware is good this time. It, runs cool. It doesn't have any issues like the yellow to death. And, let's just hope our systems play and run fine. Please, I just want that to happen this upcoming generation. Now let's talk about our cover story. Basically, this week it was confirmed that Microsoft is reversing its policies on indie developers, and they are going to allow them to self-publish. And this was a big thing with Microsoft. It was big controversy. Obviously, for the longest time, a lot of developers complained about Microsoft's rough restrictions of getting in. And of course, if anybody wanted to make a game for Xbox, they needed a publisher. So people couldn't just come in and make a game and self-publish like they can on PlayStation or Nintendo or on PC. But they've reversed their policy, so now they're allowing self-publishing. And of course, if you've been following PlayStation news, Sony has been treating indie devs like kings. They're giving them PS4 dev kits, they're helping them out. They've said, we'll let you self-publish, we'll bring you onto our platform, we have funding programs. They're treating them like kings, right? And of course, Microsoft was getting all this, slamming, press and bad stuff because, they've still had all these restrictions, and they're taking them away. What is happening here? This is not the box that Microsoft had in plan 6, 8 months ago, 2 years ago. This is not what they had planned. Basically what I'm trying to say, and from the title of this video, PlayStation, Sony, and competition is making the Xbox One awesome. When this thing was announced, everyone hated it, right? It had all these restrictions, it had all these policies. They're all gone now. And what one major player in this whole competition of console wars has been doing all the right things, and that's been Sony. Sony is making the Xbox One a machine that Microsoft didn't intentionally want to do at first, but now it's looking better than ever. There is no disputing this. Microsoft has had their back against the wall for how long now, defending their DRM, defending their online connections, defending how they, the games process of putting games on Xbox and stuff like that. They've been against the wall, defending themselves left and right, and they're changing everything just like that. And I'm telling you, it's competition, it's business. They have to stay competitive, and Sony's making them do it. And if it ain't Sony, it's certainly the whole wider spectrum of numbers and business and consumers of who wants to buy an Xbox One. Because, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, no one wanted to buy one. But now people are really liking it now because it's a better machine. And it's a better machine because of the competition, and the competition is Sony. I mean, look at it. The most diehard Xbox fans did not want an Xbox One. With all these changes going on this past week, with all this positive press for Microsoft, I mean, people are liking it now. Things are picking back up for them. They're not getting all this bad press. And you read the comments on these blogs, forums, websites. People are excited about Xbox One now. And come on, this stuff would not have happened due to competition and due to those numbers of consumers and what they want and all that. And, well, I think what this really shows is Microsoft definitely listens to consumers, and they listen to what they need to do if they're in the possibility of failing, right? I mean, and at least in terms of their Xbox division, they're doing all the right things right now. They had things in place, and they realized they were not working with the consumers and where people were going to end up buying their next gen system, so they changed. And that's good, because competition is good for the industry, and for the game industry, absolutely it is good. Because Sony got knocked down a peg or two with PS3, and they brought it back up, and now it's better. And of course, PS4 is really, really, really awesome, but now it's making Microsoft step back up because they got a little cocky and all that. You see how it all works, right? I mean, in the midst of all this, I'm happy because I do have an Xbox One pre-ordered, much like my PlayStation 4. I try to buy everything so I have the ability to play any game under the sun. And, it's good that the Xbox One's getting better because of it, right? And it also creates competition for Sony, because if more people are going to start buying Xbox One, Sony needs to kick it up a notch with PS4. PS4. They're not out of the gate. They're not out of the blue just yet. So this is a long time coming for both of these companies, and how they got to compete with each other, and how they got to compete with even outside markets like smartphones and all that shit, right? It's just it's a very complicated thing. It's a big business, but they gotta stay lean and mean to win the hearts of consumers. It's kind of full circle when you think about it. Xbox 360 made PS3 awesome in the later years, and PS4 is making Xbox One awesome in the early years. It's just all full circle, and I think one thing to take away from this is that I think we all win, no matter what affiliation we have or what preference we have or whichever systems we're gonna buy. We're gamers and we all play for the same gosh darn thing, which is video games. And it's good that there's competition to make both sides of it thrive. I mean, it goes even further than that. Microsoft and Sony aren't just competing with themselves, they're competing with a lot of other markets. PC, Nintendo, smartphones, entertainment, all these things, right? And it all comes together, and these boxes are going to be better and better. I just can't wait to get them and start playing them, man. I'm pumped. That concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Panecki. Thank you for talking with me. I'll see you next Friday.